I swear, if someone told me this story and I hadn't lived through it myself, I wouldn't believe them. It was Christmas Eve, snow falling outside, the tree glowing, cookies in the oven, that magical warmth filling every corner of our house. But that night didn't end in laughter or presents or happy memories. It ended with my mom locked outside in the freezing cold, and my dad standing behind the door with a deadbolt between them. I know how insane that sounds. You're probably thinking, why would anyone do that on Christmas? And trust me, I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. But this isn't just about one moment. This was the night everything cracked wide open, years of tension, unspoken resentment, and quiet suffering. Christmas just became the spark. And the worst part? I saw it coming. Not the locking the door part. But something. A storm had been building all month, maybe even longer. You ever get that gut feeling something's off, but you can't explain it? That was me. Every single day. And when I looked at my mom that morning, smiling like everything was okay, I knew she felt it too. Before I take you into the moment it all went down, the yelling, the slammed door, my mom's voice on the other side begging to be let in, I want to hear from you. Hit that like button if you've ever watched a family pretend everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. Drop a comment if you've ever been stuck in a house where tension was the loudest thing in the room. And subscribe, because what happened after this night, you won't believe it. And I'm not holding anything back. This is how that Christmas Eve really started. Spoiler, it was picture perfect. Almost too perfect. That morning, everything felt like it came straight out of a Christmas movie. The scent of cinnamon rolls drifted through the house, soft holiday music played in the background, and the living room looked like it had been copy-pasted from a Pinterest board, twinkling lights, perfectly wrapped presents, stockings hung just right. My mom went all out every year, but this one? She'd been working on it since October. She wanted it to be perfect. And in so many ways, it was. She wore that red sweater she always pulled out for the holidays, the one with little white reindeer stitched across the chest. Her smile was wide, her energy high, like she was holding the whole day together through sheer willpower. She was setting the table, baking cookies, prepping dinner, all at once. You'd think we had 20 guests coming, but it was just us. Me, my little brother, and of course, Dad. He sat in his usual chair by the window, flipping through his phone, barely acknowledging anything going on around him. That wasn't totally out of the ordinary. He'd always been a little distant. But that day, it felt colder. Not just emotionally, but literally. I noticed he kept cracking the window open, letting in a sharp breeze, and ignoring Mom's polite reminders to keep the heat in. He didn't help with anything. Not the cooking, not the cleaning, not even the lights that had gone out on the front porch. Every time Mom asked him something, he gave these short, clipped answers like she was annoying him just by speaking. Still, she kept that smile on. Kept moving. Kept making things magical. And she wasn't just doing it for herself, she was doing it for us. For me and my brother. I saw her sneak glances at us whenever a song came on that we used to dance to as kids. She wanted us to feel safe, happy, like the holidays were still sacred, no matter what was going on beneath the surface. But I also noticed her eyes. They kept darting toward him, watching him like she was expecting something, or dreading something. At one point, I saw her quietly take a wrapped gift from under the tree and slip it into her bedroom. I don't know why. Maybe she didn't want him to see it. Or maybe, it was something for herself. Something she didn't want ruined. She even tried to joke around a few times, telling my brother that Santa had personally confirmed our chimney was still approved for delivery. He laughed. I smiled. But Dad didn't even look up. The moment that really hit me, when I realized this wasn't just another stressful holiday, was when she paused in the kitchen, took a deep breath, and wiped away a tear before turning around and forcing another smile. Something was definitely wrong. But like always, we pretended it wasn't. Throughout the morning, Dad didn't really say much, and that wasn't unusual. But it wasn't normal either. It was a silence with weight. Heavy. Deliberate. He sat in his chair, sipping coffee he didn't even finish, scrolling on his phone like he was waiting for something, or avoiding everything. At first, I thought maybe he was just tired. But then little things started standing out, like how he kept checking the time. Not just glancing, checking. Like he had somewhere to be. Like he was counting down. Then came the pacing. He'd get up, walk to the window, stare outside for a few seconds, and go right back to his chair. Over and over. Like a loop. At one point, I asked if he was expecting someone. He snapped, "No. Can I not look out my own damn window?" My brother's head jerked up. I felt my stomach twist. Mom looked over from the kitchen and said nothing, but the corners of her mouth tightened. That was when I started paying closer attention. Dad wasn't just being distant. He was angry. Not explosive, not loud, but that quiet, simmering kind of angry that creeps up and poisons the air. He moved through the house like every sound annoyed him. He sighed loudly when the microwave beeped. Groaned when Christmas music played too loud. Muttered under his breath when my brother accidentally dropped a spoon. And the tension? You could slice it with a candy cane. Every room he entered felt colder, literally and figuratively. He turned down the thermostat 3 times, even though Mom kept turning it back up. "It's too hot in here," he mumbled, though we were all in sweaters and blankets. At one point, my mom gently asked if he wanted to go lie down for a bit. "You've been up early, maybe a nap would help," she said, sweet as always. He glared at her. "I'm not a child. I don't need to be told when to take a nap." And that was the moment I saw something shift in her. She didn't argue. Didn't respond. Just nodded, went back to stirring the mashed potatoes, and let that smile fall for a few seconds before putting it right back on. That moment hit harder than his words. Then, there was lunch. Not dinner, just a casual plate of sandwiches Mom made for everyone. She placed his plate down gently next to him. "Turkey and Swiss, just how you like it." He didn't even look at her. "Don't want it," he muttered. She left it there anyway. Sat back down. No response. It sat untouched for hours. The weirdest thing? He wasn't like this last Christmas. Sure, he had his moods. But this was different. Sharper. More distant. It felt like he was keeping something in, like he was trying not to explode. At one point, I overheard a phone call. He had stepped into the garage, but the door wasn't shut all the way. I heard him whispering, fast and low. I caught a few words, "Handle it later." "She doesn't know. Just wait." That was when I knew. This wasn't just Dad having a bad day. Something deeper was boiling. And whatever it was about to boil over. It started with something so small, you'd almost miss it. We were all in the living room, helping Mom bring out a few early gifts to open before dinner. It was tradition, one small present on Christmas Eve. My brother picked up a box with his name on it, and without thinking, he said, "Thanks, Mom." Dad's face twitched. He turned to my brother and said, "You mean Mom and Dad?" There was this silence that fell instantly. My brother froze. "Oh, yeah. Sorry. Thank you both," he mumbled. But that wasn't enough. Dad stood up. "I just think it's funny how nobody remembers the stuff I do around here. Like who works their ass off to pay for those gifts." Mom tried to step in, gently. "Honey, it's okay. He didn't mean anything by it." But that just lit the fuse. "Of course you'd say that. You've been feeding them this Mom does everything narrative since they were babies. Like I'm just some grumpy ATM in the corner." "No one said that," she replied, calmly. "You're making something out of nothing." And that was it. He slammed his hand against the side table. Not hard enough to break it, but enough to make everyone jump. "Oh, I'm making something up? Really? Maybe if you didn't act like Little Miss Perfect all the time, people would actually see the crap I deal with around here." My mom took a step back. "What are you talking about? You want to know why I've been quiet today? Why I've been moody?" he was shouting now. "Because I'm sick of pretending like we're some picture-perfect family. You prance around baking cookies and hanging stockings while everything's falling apart." My brother started crying. Not loud, but just these quiet little hiccups. And I was frozen. Watching this thing I never thought I'd see. My hands felt cold. My heart was pounding. I wanted to step in, say something, but I didn't know how. I just stared at the gift in my lap, trying to disappear into it. "I'm done with it," he continued. "I'm done being the bad guy because I don't clap every time you decorate a tree. You want Christmas? Here, have it." And he grabbed one of the presents, the one Mom had wrapped so carefully, and hurled it across the room. It hit the wall, bounced off, and slid to the floor. The room went dead silent. That's when Mom's voice broke. "I stayed quiet for you. 4 years. I made excuses. Smiled through dinners. Covered for you. But you don't get to stand there and rewrite the story like you're the victim." Her hands were shaking, but her voice was strong. "You don't want to be here? Fine. But don't take it out on them." He glared at her, breathing heavy. His fists were clenched, his jaw locked tight. For a second, I thought he was going to say something, maybe scream something back. But instead, he turned. Walked out. We heard the back door open, then slam shut. And for a moment, none of us moved. It was like time stopped. The Christmas lights twinkled on the tree like nothing had happened. But everything had changed. The silence after he left the room felt louder than any scream. My brother clung to Mom's leg, still shaking. I walked over and sat beside her on the couch, unsure of what to say. None of us really spoke. Just sat there, blinking through the stillness like we'd all just witnessed a car crash. A few minutes passed. Maybe 5. Maybe 10. I don't even know. The clock ticked louder than usual. The Christmas lights blinked like nothing had happened. But everything had changed. Then, we heard the back door creak open again. He was back. Mom stood up immediately. "We need to talk," she said. Her voice was calm, but her body? Tense. Rigid. Ready to snap. Dad didn't say a word. He didn't even look at us. He walked right past her, into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and pulled out a beer. Like nothing had happened. Like it was just another day. "Seriously?" Mom said, louder this time. "You think you can storm off, throw a tantrum, and just, what? Drink a beer like we didn't just go through that?" He finally looked at her. Cold, flat. Like she was a stranger standing in his house. "You want to talk?" he said. "Go outside. We can talk out there." She hesitated. "It's freezing, then don't talk to me." And just like that, he turned and walked to the back door. Swung it open. She followed him, reluctantly, still trying to keep peace, still trying to salvage something. She stepped out onto the deck in just her slippers and that red sweater. The wind hit her like a slap. I watched from the hallway, holding my breath. They stood out there for maybe 30 seconds. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw everything, the stiff posture, the way he wouldn't meet her eyes, her arms folded tight around her body. Then, he turned, walked back inside, and shut the door behind him. But not just shut it. He locked it. I heard the deadbolt click. I remember yelling, "Dad?" as I rushed toward the door. He didn't answer. He didn't even flinch. Just walked back into the living room, took another sip of his beer, and turned the TV on like nothing had happened. Through the glass, I saw my mom place her hand on the window. Her mouth opened in disbelief, her eyes shining from the cold and the betrayal. And I swear, in that moment, something in me broke. I don't remember running to the door, I just remember my hand slamming against the glass. "Dad! Unlock it!" My mom was mouthing something I couldn't hear, fog forming with every breath. Her fingers tapped the glass like a quiet plea. Her eyes didn't blink. But Dad, he didn't move. He sat there in his chair, one leg crossed over the other, beer in hand, eyes fixed on the TV like he couldn't even hear us. Like she wasn't outside. Like we weren't inside screaming at him to open the door. My brother started crying again, louder this time. "Is she okay?" he asked. "She's fine," I lied. "She's okay, just cold." But I didn't believe it. None of us did. I opened the door to the garage, grabbed a blanket off the storage shelf, and ran out the side door to meet her. She was still standing there. Not yelling. Not banging. Just still. Frozen in place. When I wrapped the blanket around her, she didn't even flinch. Her lips were blue. Her hands trembling. "Let's go around the front," I whispered. "You'll get sick out here." She nodded, but her eyes were somewhere else. Like part of her had left the house long before she did. The wind whipped her hair into her face as we made our way through the snow. Her feet shuffled, slippers soaked. I reached out to steady her as we walked. She didn't say anything. Not a word. By the time we made it back through the front door, Dad was gone. Not from the house, but from the moment. He was physically present, but mentally shut off. Sitting in his chair again, staring blankly at some football game, as if the last hour hadn't happened. I helped Mom sit down. She peeled off her wet slippers and held the blanket tighter. My brother crawled into her lap without saying a word. Nobody spoke for a while. The Christmas tree lights kept blinking, green, red, like nothing had changed. But everything had. Eventually, she looked at me and said, "I'm sorry." I shook my head. "You didn't do anything wrong." She gave me this sad little smile. That's not how he'll remember it. And I hated that she was right. Then, quietly, she added, "I didn't want to ruin Christmas. That's why I stayed quiet. I just wanted one good memory." I didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone who gave everything just to keep the peace? I looked around at the house she'd worked so hard to make magical. The cookies cooling in the kitchen. The matching pajamas she'd bought for us. The little handmade ornaments with our names on them. The music still playing quietly in the background, like it didn't realize it was no longer welcome. All of it suddenly felt fake. Like the whole holiday had been a costume. A performance. And the show was over. She didn't cry. That almost made it worse. She just sat there, still as ever, arms wrapped around my brother, eyes glassy and far away. That's when I realized Christmas wasn't shattered in that one moment. It had been breaking for years. That night didn't end with a dramatic fight. It didn't end with sirens or apologies or yelling through the walls. It ended in silence. Mom tucked my brother into bed like she always did. She even read him a story the night before Christmas. Her voice cracked a few times, but she got through it. When she closed the book, he whispered, "Will Santa still come?" She smiled. "Of course he will." But I knew she was lying. Just like I was pretending everything was okay. We all were. Downstairs, Dad stayed on the couch. He didn't say goodnight. Didn't come upstairs. Just sat there with his beer and the TV, like nothing had happened. Later that night, I walked into the kitchen and saw Mom quietly packing away the holiday cookies into plastic containers. One by one. Like she needed something to do with her hands. Something to distract her from the way her world was crumbling. "I don't think he's coming back upstairs," I said. She nodded. "That's his choice." Her voice had changed. Still soft, but steadier. Not bitter. Just done. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I don't think I'm going to stay." I turned to her. "You mean, tonight?" She looked up at me. And for the first time that day, I saw it. Resolve. "No. I mean in this house. In this marriage." And suddenly, it was like a weight lifted from the room. Just a little. Just enough to breathe. She sat down at the table and exhaled. "I've spent so long trying to hold this family together. But maybe it's not supposed to be held together like this." I sat with her, and for the first time, we didn't fill the silence with distractions. No pretending. No reruns playing in the background. Just two people sitting in the wreckage of what used to be, and finally admitting it was broken. Then she said, "You know what I hate the most? That I was more scared of ruining Christmas than I was of standing up for myself." I didn't have a reply, but I nodded. Because I understood. She went on, "I kept thinking, if I just bake the cookies, if I just hang the lights, if I just keep smiling long enough, maybe the rest will follow." But it never did. That hit me. Because it wasn't just her. I had done the same thing. We all had. We clung to the image of what Christmas was supposed to be because the truth underneath was too hard to face. Upstairs, the lights were off. The presents were still wrapped. The stockings still hung. But something had shifted. Something inside her. Inside all of us. Christmas had broken us, but maybe, in a strange way, it had also set something free. Christmas morning came, but it didn't feel like Christmas. There was no rush down the stairs, no excited whispers about Santa. No tearing into wrapping paper or pancakes on the stove. Just silence. I woke up early, even though I didn't want to. It felt wrong to sleep in. Like if I stayed in bed too long, the truth of everything might settle in harder. I walked into the living room. The tree still sparkled, untouched. Every gift still in place. But the energy, the magic, it was gone. It felt like the decorations belonged to a different house, a different family. Mom was already up. Sitting at the kitchen table, wrapped in a robe, sipping coffee with both hands like she needed it to stay warm. She didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me and gave a small nod. Then she said, "He left." My heart sank. Left where? She motioned toward the counter. There was a note. I picked it up. Just a few scribbled lines. "Don't worry. I won't ruin the rest of your Christmas. I need space. I'll be in touch." That was it. No apology. No explanation. No goodbye. Just gone. Part of me was relieved. The tension that had poisoned the house was suddenly lifted. The air felt lighter, even though everything was still so heavy. Like we were breathing easier, but through cracked ribs. But another part of me, an honest, hurting part, felt abandoned. Like even though he caused all this pain, he still got to walk away without facing any of it. I looked at Mom. She didn't cry. She just said, "We'll be okay." And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. The day passed slowly. No one opened presents. No one turned on music. We ate cereal for breakfast and leftovers for dinner. But somehow, it didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. There was no tension lurking behind the walls. No walking on eggshells. Just quiet. Real quiet. Later that afternoon, Mom called us into the living room. She sat on the edge of the couch, back straight, hands folded in her lap. Her eyes were tired, but clear. "I need to tell you both something," she said. My brother sat next to me, holding his favorite stuffed bear. I could tell he was nervous, so was I. "I'm going to talk to someone," she continued. "A lawyer. About making changes." I knew what she meant. And even though part of me ached at the finality of it, another part of me felt relief. "Are we leaving?" my brother asked softly. Mom looked at him with so much love. "We're not running away. We're moving forward. There's a difference." She didn't cry. She didn't stammer. She spoke like someone who had finally reached the edge of a cliff and realized she could fly. "I've tried everything to make this house a home. But a home isn't built on fear. Or silence. Or waiting for someone to become who they promise to be." She looked at me, then back at my brother. "We deserve a home where we feel safe. Where we don't have to guess which version of someone we'll get that day." She took a deep breath. "I can't promise everything will be easy. But I can promise we won't keep pretending. Not anymore." And just like that, it was decided. Not with a fight. Not with a breakdown. With truth. Looking back, I always thought Christmas was supposed to be perfect, full of magic, smiles, and picture-worthy memories. But sometimes, the most important Christmas isn't the one filled with joy. It's the one that wakes you up. That night didn't destroy our family. It revealed the truth we'd been avoiding. And in that truth, we found something stronger than denial, clarity. My mom chose peace. Not just for her, but for us. And in that moment, I saw what real strength looks like. Not loud. Not angry. Just a quiet decision to stop living in fear. We never did open those presents. Not that day. But months later, when we were in our new place, Mom found the box in storage. We opened them on a random Tuesday night. No tree, no snow, just laughter. And it was perfect. If you've ever felt trapped in a story that wasn't yours to carry, if you've ever smiled through pain just to keep the peace, you're not alone. Drop a comment if this hit home. Like the video if you believe peace is worth fighting for. And don't forget to subscribe, because some stories are hard to tell, but they're even harder to live through.